at this moment in hockey history. The Nashville Predators currently find themselves in 7th place in the Central Division after 20 games skated. That's right, we are a quarter of the way through this current season. The Preds record, though, 6-11-3, leaves quite a bit to be desired. 15 points as well. They are 17 points behind first place Winnipeg, who happens to be the Predators' next opponent, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. That'll take place on home ice, where the Predators are 4-6-0. On the season, the Preds have scored 46 times. They've given up 64 goals against a goal differential of -18. Now, for the Predators, very quickly and exclusively, the next games for them on the schedule the next week ahead looks like this. After this game against Winnipeg at home, back on the road Monday at New Jersey, and then Wednesday back home versus Philadelphia, Thanksgiving, and then the 29th versus Tampa Bay, the 30th at Minnesota, and the 4th of December at the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, for the Predators and the Winnipeg Jets, this is the first of 4 regular season meetings. The next time they will meet will be on December the 30th in Winnipeg, and then on January the 7th, so just a week later, also taking place in Winnipeg. They'll come back to Bridgestone Arena for the 4th final game of the season series on February the 27th. Now, to talk about the Winnipeg Jets means to talk about the entirety of the Central Division. So let's give you the Jets record, update you on the Central, then we'll start talking about the Winnipeg Jets and the matchup exclusively. The Winnipeg Jets come into this game in first place in the Central Division, no matter what happens in their game Friday night at Pittsburgh. The Jets currently 19 games skated. They will be at 20 by the time they come to Bridgestone Arena. 16-3-0 is their record on the season. 32 points, first place in the Central Division. 17 points ahead of the Nashville Predators at this moment in time. On the road, a record of 7-2. They've scored 80 times this season. They've given up just 46. That's a goal differential of plus 34 through just the first quarter of the season. That is a highly impressive statistical metric. Now, before we get into the Winnipeg Jets and their most recent stretch of hockey, let's go back and talk about the Central Division, the most recent standings. The Winnipeg Jets, of course, first place, 32 points. Behind them by 5 points, the Minnesota Wild at 27. Then the Dallas Stars find themselves in third place at 24 points. The Colorado Avalanche are in fourth place in the Central with 20 points on the season. And then a bit of a jumble, which if the Nashville Predators could get going in a northward direction, could overtake a couple of these teams quickly. Utah and St. Louis, 5th and 6th in the Central at 17 points. And then the Nashville Predators at 15 points with Chicago in last place at 13. Now, the Winnipeg Jets, I promised you their most recent stretch of 5. So let's go back to the 9th of November. 4-1 win versus Dallas on the 12th of November. 6-3 win at the New York Rangers. On the 14th of November, a 4-1 loss at Tampa Bay. A 5-0 loss at Florida followed that on the 16th of November. The most recent completed game for this Winnipeg Jets team took place on the 19th of November, a 6-3 win versus Florida. So a home against the Florida Panthers. Now Friday in Pittsburgh before Saturday coming to Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. So the Predators will be catching the red-hot Winnipeg Jets on the second night of back-to-backs while also traveling. Any benefit for the Nashville Predators at this moment in time. Now, let's bring the Nashville Predators back into the conversation, and it's not going to be a pretty one. The matchups between these two teams, the current NHL rankings, goals for. On the Winnipeg side, highly impressive. 4.21 goals per game is second best in the NHL, while the Predators are 30 positions in the NHL behind the Winnipeg Jets. 2.3 goals per game is 32nd or last in the National Hockey League. In the goals against category, Winnipeg also another top 5 metric right here, 2.42 goals given up per game, 5th best in the NHL. The Predators, 18th best in the NHL, 3.20 goals per game. So the Predators giving up almost a full goal more than they are scoring, while Winnipeg is scoring 1.8 more goals per game than they are giving up. Again, you don't start off the season 16-3 without putting up some pretty impressive statistical metrics. Shots for category, Predators 29.7 per game is 15th. Winnipeg 30.5 per game is 9th. That's the third consecutive top 10 metric. They will break that streak coming up in the next category. For the Predators, 29.7 was 15th. I might have mentioned that already. Shots against 30 for Nashville is 24th in the league. 29.2 for Winnipeg is 19th in the NHL. So the first metric outside of the top 10, but they're jumping back into that on the special teams conversation. 22.2% for the Predators on the power play conversion rate. That's 10th best in the league. 14 conversions out of 63 opportunities. The Winnipeg Jets, though, 20 conversions out of 56 opportunities. That's 35.7% conversion rate. That is by far the best in the NHL at this moment in time. They will be facing off against the number one penalty kill unit, which could create some interesting moments in this game. 91.3% is the Predators' kill rate. That is the best in the league. They've only given up 6 power play goals against on the season. When it comes to the penalty kill for the Winnipeg Jets, 17th rated in the NHL, 79.2% is their kill rate. They have given up 10 power play goals against. Individual statistics and scoring leaders for each of these teams, will go through the top 5, but it is highly impressive, and I'm going to start out by saying this point. The 5th scorer would be higher than the Nashville Predators' top scorer. So Winnipeg would have all top 5 of their scores above the Nashville Predators before you even got to Philip Forsberg at 15 points. His breakdown is 8 goals and 7 assists. The captain, Roman Josi's at 2 goals and 12 assists for 14 points. O'Reilly's at 3 and 8 for 11. Stamkos 6 and 4 for 10. Jonathan Marchessault at 3 and 7 for 10 total points. Now, I mentioned those Winnipeg stats, and they are pretty gaudy for this early in the season. They have 4 players that are averaging a point per game so far this season. That would be their top 4 scorers. And it's a race at the top. Scheifele, 12 goals, 12 assists. That's good balance for 24 points. Connor doing the same thing at 12 for 24. And both of those players typically have very solid performances against the Nashville Predators. Ehlers is at 9 goals and 13 assists for 22 points. Morrissey's at 2 goals and 17 assists for 19 points on the season. And Pionk, 3 and 14 for 17. Hellebuck, the Nashville Predators rival for many, many years, anticipated to get the start net. Actually, it'll depend on how the deployment goes on the back-to-back with Pittsburgh on Friday night and then Nashville on Saturday night. So to be determined, but I want to give you Hellebuck's numbers because they're highly impressive. 13-2-0, a 2.20 goals against, a 923 save percentage. Already 3 shutouts. So out of his 13 victories, 3 of those are shutouts on the season. UC Saros, 5-9-2. The record, no, not that impressive, but after the road trip, the rest of the numbers are quite good. 2.52 goals against average. Now, compare that again to what we were just talking about with Connor Hellebuck, 2.20 versus 2.52. If the Predators could just find a way to score more than 2.3 goals per game, 2.52 would hold up for the Predators and UC Saros, but that's why the loss records for UC Saros is so bad, because the offense is so bad. 916 save percentage for UC Saros and 2 shutouts out of his 5 victories on the season. So for UC Saros, he practically has to pitch a shutout just to pick up a victory. That's going to get you all set. Excited, always an exciting night when the Winnipeg Jets come to Bridgestone Arena. These two teams have been division rivals for quite some time. Some very funny moments, some very aggressive moments, a lot of physicality between these two clubs over the years, and some really, really important hockey games back just a few seasons ago. And for the Nashville Predators, they may be down, but the season's only a quarter of the way over, so they're not out. And a jolt from a division rival and a team as good as the Winnipeg Jets, maybe, I don't know. We're all grasping at straws trying to figure out what the hell this Predators team is going to do and what they're going to be moving forward. But maybe the first of 4 games against Winnipeg is the beginning of a spark that gets this Predators team fired up. After all, the get your shit together road trip certainly didn't take care of that business. We got the Reverse Sports full game recap. It's coming up next right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast. See you.